there have been so many times when I've been kind of like done with my own creatorship in terms of like the Photoshop photography, that business. You know, there have been times where I'm like, okay, I'm not interested in this anymore. It's not fulfilling me. That is really for me where like a lot of the really good learning has come in, but to be like, okay, well, how do I get back interested in this thing? Because it's my career, it's a passion that I once had. Like, why don't I feel passionate about it now? And what can I do to rekindle that passion?
Today's creator is Aaron Nace, a world-renowned photographer and Photoshop educator. Aaron is the founder of Phlearn, a YouTube channel with over 2.1 million subscribers, where he teaches Photoshop and Lightroom. In this episode, Aaron will share his journey to becoming one of the most successful Photoshop educators, the challenges he faces in maintaining his creative drive, and the tactics he uses to continually rekindle his passion for his craft. Hey Aaron, my friend, how's it going?
Going really good. Good to be here.
Good to have you on, man. As I mentioned to you in the past, you're a very good friend. I'm a fan of your work, and I'm sure that we're going to have a fantastic conversation about your life as a professional creator.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
For like the two people listening who don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and where you're from?
Yeah, sure. So my background is in photography as well as design, and I started with conceptual photos and was doing a lot of Photoshop for my own like personal projects, and there was a lot of interest around, you know, the compositing work and the retouching work that I was doing. So I started teaching, it's been about 12 years ago, on YouTube how to do like interesting Photoshop techniques. And that just kind of took off and really became like the focus of my career. So I founded a company called Phlearn. It's like Photo Learn in one word. And we're on YouTube. We have a website with like subscription where you can get like really advanced, like professional level courses. And then we have hundreds of videos for free on YouTube as well. So that's been basically my entire adult professional career. I had a bunch of jobs before that, and I've had many side projects and side businesses and many passions along the way, but I haven't had like a real like job in maybe 13 years. So I miss it sometimes, actually. Sometimes I'm like, dang, I wonder what it would be like to have a job, because working for yourself, as you know, is so rewarding and fantastic in so many ways, but it also comes with its own unique challenges. And one of those challenges is you're always in charge of making every decision. No one's there to tell you what to do or what time to wake up or give you a schedule. And a lot of the time, for me, that's fantastic. But some of the time, I'm like, man, I just want someone to tell me what to do today, because I don't feel like going to work. I don't feel like doing anything. I don't, so it's having been, working for myself as a creator for so long, it's so wonderful in so many ways. And it is a thing where like at this point, I'm like, if I wanted to get a job, I don't even know that I could anymore.
Right.
It's a little bit of a double-edged sword. Like, I don't even,
You could probably with your skills, but where you're saying that mentality of working at a place, that probably is what you wouldn't be able to handle.
I think so.
Right.
I think
feel
so.
The same way.
Yeah. It'd have to be the right fit. And even with my skills, I feel like I've developed a very bespoke kind of specific skill set that fits my life perfectly for my own creative endeavors. But to be hired like as a job, I do feel like I would have to go to school again or something, like to actually be qualified for like a professional position. Not that I like am on the hunt or anything like that currently, but it's something that I have thought about from time to time. Like, man, I want to phone it in right now. I just want a job for like 6 months.
Well, if you need to, man, send an application. I think I can hire you. Resume and application, please.
There we go. We'll send it in. Sounds good.
It's fantastic to, have that freedom of where you are now. And I'm using that word freedom very loosely. I know that you're busy and you do all sorts of things, but you do get to live where you want to live and work when you want to work for the most part. But I want to push it further back. Like, how did you even consider becoming a quote unquote professional creative? Like, how did you pick up a camera? Like, take us back to those moments of when you started developing this passion for creativity and photography and compositing in specific.
Yeah, for sure. So I've kind of always been into the visual arts. I grew up drawing and painting, and that transitioned into my college university education, which was in product design or industrial design. So I kind of came into photography relatively late. It was after college, and I was traveling quite a bit and taking a lot of photos during my travels, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I got home from traveling through South America. I was there for almost a year. And when I got home, I was really like not wanting to work in the career that I studied in college. I was studied as an industrial designer, and I was just kind of feeling like I wanted to carve my own path. And so I had been shooting a lot of photography, and my friends and family were like, why don't you just try to make it as a photographer? It's something you're passionate about and you can do it for yourself. So I kind of jumped head in to photography, and then along the way from, university and even well before college, I was using Photoshop. That was always an interest of mine. And so when I got into photography, I thought, okay, well, how do I make my photos a little bit more interesting? They would come out like technically well, like properly exposed and focused and all that. But for me, it was like, okay, these are still a little bit boring to look at for my own self, like I wouldn't say that about anyone else's work, but like for my own work and for my own taste, I was like, okay, I want this to be more interesting. If I'm going to try to be a professional photographer, I need to have images that are going to stand out. I need something that other people aren't really doing. So that's when I kind of like reached back into my Photoshop roots and started my compositing work. And that really, for me, was such a joy because I was producing images that I liked and I felt like were unique and, doing something that other people weren't really doing, especially at that time. And it was just a lot of fun. And that kind of filled like the creative part of myself. And then at that time, my goal was still to work as like a career photographer.
What does that mean? Like what kind of photographer that you want to be?
I wanted to be like a conceptual brand photographer, basically, like shooting for either individuals, like, actors, things like that, like doing like conceptual portrait photography for those type clients, or I wanted to work with other brands, just, like lifestyle brands, fashion brands, things like that, but still doing like the highly conceptual work. So that was really my goal for the first few years. And I had no plans of ever like teaching post-production. That was never like a part of like a long-term vision of mine. And I still do shoot, it's like I still built my photography career as I was building my Photoshop education channel. But in terms of like what kind of just like took over was the education side of things, and it was going really, really well. So at a certain point, I kind of made the decision, why don't I just double down on this, make this like everything, put all of my focus into this education company and see where it can go.
I don't know if you remember this, but you and I met in person briefly in LA at probably Adobe Max 2018 or so, give or take a year. And then I met you again, and I think this is when we started becoming friends in San Francisco. You were doing something for Adobe, and you and I hung out for a little bit, and this is where the story's going. I know for sure that you still shoot and that you're still a photographer because you invited me to go at some random place at like 5 a.m. the next day to go shoot. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. So I'm not a photographer, clearly. But I know that you're out, if I'm not mistaken, with a mutual friend of ours, Paco. I think you went out and shot some things in San Francisco or around that area. But it's incredible, man, that you went from, I want to have this career to doing something that's related, but still different, and then just becoming extremely successful at it. I remember seeing your stuff back in 2012 or so when you had a co-host. It was you and another lady at the time. So I've known about you for a really long time, and it's interesting now, just like we text all the time, we're friends. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is because I know much about you now, but I don't know much of you from the beginning. So it was interesting to see how you got into where you are today. You mentioned that you had encouragement from friends and family to become a photographer.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, huge, man, because I've interviewed several people now for this podcast, and I think you're the only one who specifically mentioned without me asking, oh yeah, my close circle encouraged me. Did you also have any mentors or anybody else that you kind of learned the tricks of the trade? Anybody that you latched onto, somebody that kind of took you under their wing?
There were a few people making online videos at the time teaching Photoshop and photography, and there was like an active community on Flickr.com. So I think a lot of like my community came online at the time. I didn't have a lot of like in-person like mentorship or, things like that, but I had a lot of great friends who were like totally down to go shoot random crap in the forest at 2 a.m.
Clearly not me.
So that helped a lot. We'll do something together.
Yeah.
We'll do something together.
As long as it's past 7 a.m., I'm there with you.
I'm not usually a 5 a.m. type of person, but when the shoot calls for it. But just having really supportive friends and like doing stuff that was really genuinely fun for me. I think that's been like really the thing that's kept me back, like coming back year after year after year, because, as like being a full-time creator, we're just humans, and like we have good days and bad days. We have good months and bad months. And sometimes we really love our craft and want to make something of it and want to put ourselves into it. And, sometimes it's just speaking for myself. I have trouble getting out of bed some days, and I'm not going to like go set the world on fire with my creativity when I'm, like not feeling that great myself. So like my journey as a creative has been like learning how to fall in love with my craft over and over and over and over again. That is something that I've only learned with many years of doing, the same thing. And I'm, as like a person, I get very excited about projects and then I do them and then I'm like totally done and ready to move on to something else. So for me, sticking with something like photography or Photoshop or even just my own business, to be honest, it has been difficult for me personally because I am the type of person who's like, I want to play the flute 1 week and then the next week I want to pick up surfing. That's just kind of who I am as a person. So for me, there have been so many times when I've been kind of like done with my own creatorship in terms of like the Photoshop photography, that business. There have been times where I'm like, okay, I'm not interested in this anymore. It's not fulfilling me. That is really for me where like a lot of the really good learning has come in, to be like, okay, well, how do I get back interested in this thing? Because it's my career. It's like, it's a passion that I once had. Like, why don't I feel passionate about it now? And what can I do to rekindle that passion? So that process has come into play many, many times over the years.
How did you fall back in love with it?
Well, it always comes in a slightly different way. Like, the first part of the process is finding out like what is the reason why I don't love it currently. Like, okay, why don't I love it right now? Like, what happened? Like, did something happen? Did I change? What was kind of like the reason why I like fell out in love with something? And then if I could bring my passion back online, like what would do it? And it's always a different thing. Sometimes it's like, well, I want to be more connected with like other creatives in my industry. So I'll reach out to other creatives and like start working, doing a lot more collaboration and like really getting that going again. More recently, it's been creating conceptual, like high-end compositing work that kind of gets my creative juices flowing, something that's like artistically rewarding for me as well. So the thing that pulls me back into it is always different, but there's always a process of like, okay, well, like let's dig deep and find something that I still love and how can I integrate that with my business. Again, sometimes it just flows and it's all I want to do is make Photoshop tutorials and take photos. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's the last thing I want to do. For me, it's always like, how do I get back to that place of like wanting to do it again?
Right.
And that's just like it's internal, it comes like, it has to come from within.
For sure. And in order for you to have that clarity, I would assume, and I think this is true for me, mental health is very important. And it's something that you and I have spoke about in the past. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, people like you, I'm pretty sure, because it happens to me, we have more external input than the average person. We get more notifications probably. We definitely get hundreds, if not thousands of comments on our videos. And some of that feedback can be negative feedback. How do you stay mentally healthy when you're getting so much feedback in order to continue creating? Is there anything specifically that you do?
Yeah, I think for me, I actually try to limit my feedback as much as possible. But no matter how long you've been doing this sort of thing, like a negative comment, if there's truth in it, can just really be like an arrow in the heart, you know? If there's no truth in it, it doesn't hurt at all. If it's just like, screw you, I didn't like your video, then it's like, okay, that's not going to stick with me. But if it's something and you're like, ooh, you're totally right. This did suck, and I did phone it in.
No, it's funny that you feel that, because the way that it only bothers me if it's an attack. So if you were to comment on one of my videos or some artwork that I've done, you said, "Hey man, the masking or whatever is a little off," I'll be like, "Oh, damn it, you're right. Like, yes, I should have done better." So it wouldn't really ruin my day, and I wouldn't be so upset. But if your comment was that, and then an attack, like you suck and this and that, is something unrelated to the critique, then that's when it bothers me. Or if there's no critique and it's just an attack, that's when it bothers me.
Yeah, I don't get bothered by like blatant attacks that much, because I know people have good days and bad days, and the internet is a place where strangers can lash out at other strangers, you know? So like that. But if a person's like, "Hey, I've been following you for a bunch of years. Your work used to be good, but now it looks like you don't care anymore, and it's obvious in your videos, and I can't watch you anymore because I was excited initially, but now it seems like you're really phoning it in, and like I don't enjoy the content that you make anymore, and it seems like you don't enjoy it anymore also, so maybe you should think about stopping." You know, that sort of thing, that sticks with you. I've gotten to several points through my career when the input was just too much, honestly, and I've taken steps to reduce it. So I used to be like very, very active on Twitter and Instagram and social media and things like that, and I'm not that active with that sort of thing anymore. And I know that it would be better for my business if I was more active, but I just don't want to do it. So that's always a balance for me personally, is like the difference of like what's good for the business versus like what I actually want to do. And sometimes I just simply don't want to do something, and my business might suffer as a result. The real solution that I found for that is, if there's something that I really don't want to do, but the business needs it, I hire someone else to do it.
And that's where I was gonna go. So I've had the same exact thought process, where I used to be the kind of person who would, take a picture, post it online. When Facebook was a thing, I used to check in everywhere. I was doing all this stuff. And then I eventually, for many reasons, I just got tired of it. And I'm trying to get back into it for my personal stuff. Like, I stopped taking photos. Like, I don't take photos of anything now. For the last year, I kind of been changing that. And I'm pushing myself to take more photos just to create, like memories of like nice places I go with my girlfriend, or, whatever. But it just became too much. And I did exactly what you just said, because I know that keeping a social presence is important for people who have businesses like ours. So I actually hired a social media manager. So she's been with me for like a year now. And it's so funny because she even handles like my LinkedIn and these things. And people would like message me, and then she'll message me and says, "Hey, by the way, this person looks like they know you. Like, do you know them?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's my friend so and so. Let me get to them," because people don't know that I do that. So then, if somebody reaches out on LinkedIn like in a private message and it sounds like they know me, she'll like let me know. But like most stuff I don't even know. And I've actually gotten comments from friends that say things like, "Hey, I reached out to you on Twitter, you never messaged back." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I haven't been on Twitter for years." And even with, the current situation, I'll probably never be back on it. But I totally understand having to distance yourself from that input so that you just can have a clear mind and do what you want to do. And it's not necessarily being lazy. It's just focusing on creating good content for people if that's what we're doing, or for a client or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. Like we're living in a very connected world, more so than ever. And I don't know that like our brains have really caught up with it yet.
Right,
Like, I see people online living like simple lives, like building a cabin in the woods, and like they just wake up and like, what do I have to do today? Like hammer some boards together and pick some berries and make lunch. And I find myself craving that. I'm like, wow, they have so few inputs, like so little external distraction. They can just like live a simple life and live at peace.
But you know what's funny about what you just said? These people are putting it online, so therefore they're also getting the input. So isn't that just like a package? Like I'm just packaging up this idea of a simple life, but in reality, here I am with a camera, a light kit, maybe a teleprompter. Who knows, right?
Yeah, you got a good point there. Yeah, it's so cool that we can make a living online. I mean, it's amazing. My career is like to the benefit of like the current technology.
For sure. Here's a mental exercise. Let's imagine that we could travel to an alternate universe where everything is the same, but nobody knows who you are. So you don't have any of your contacts, no money, but you wanted to start Phlearn again. How would you go about it today with your knowledge?
Oh, that's a great question, man. Boy.
Put you on the spot there, my man.
Well, if I had... Yeah, that's such a good question, because if I had no money, no resources,
but you have your knowledge.
But I have my knowledge, and yeah, I don't know if I would do the same thing again, to be honest. I know it's weird to say, but I don't think that I would go down the same road. I think I would probably do something totally different.
Wow. Do you have any idea what that would be?
I have no idea what that would be. I don't know. Maybe they got like hover surfing or something like that in this new universe. But like what I like the company that I built and like my own career and my own creative endeavors were like very much based on like a repeating pattern of events that happened in my life. And like it came to pass where like I was graduated from college. I decided that I wanted to kind of go on my own career, and I had a real passion for photography. And like those things were like my deep passions, and I was able to kind of like turn that into a career at the time. And I don't think if I started today, I would build the same career. I think I would probably do something based on my current passions. As I mentioned before, like my passions change a lot, and I still have passion for Photoshop and photography, but I have a lot of other passions in my life as well.
What are some of your passions right now?
Yeah, I love to travel. I love the outdoors. I was daydreaming the other day about being a park ranger.
Wow.
I love being in like natural, like out in nature, just out in the middle of nature. So would I be as like quote unquote successful, like financially or whatever? Maybe not, but a huge part of the reason why I was successful at all with my photography, Photoshop stuff was because I really loved it. That carried me through the dark days, or, when there was no money. I mean, for years and years and years, there was very little money coming in. I didn't care because I wasn't doing it for the money. I was just doing it because I loved it. And there always comes a day when things aren't going your way and you're like, am I just going to stop this? Like, why am I even doing this? Like what's going to keep you going? And like, for me, if the passion isn't there, it's really difficult for me to convince myself to keep doing something if I just don't want to do it. And money has never been adequate. Like, well, you make good money, so keep doing it. That's just never been...
100% agree.
Everyone in the world is making money in a totally different way, and there are people who make plenty of money who are not very happy with their lives, and there are people who don't make as much who get a lot of satisfaction and enjoyment out of their lives. So, for me, it's money has never been anything that keeps me going. The money thing feels more like a chain, like a ball and chain, but like truly enjoying something feels like a fountain. You know what I mean? And I think a ball and chain is only gonna, a fountain feels a lot better, just like, oh, I want to do this stuff rather than like, oh God, I have to keep doing this because of stupid money.
But I've always said that to people, man. Like, I probably went 2+ years without anybody watching my YouTube channel. And I was not producing as much content as I am now, but I was working a full-time job, coming home, creating content afterwards, 7 to midnight, 1 in the morning, whatever it was. And yeah, sure, I only made like 10 videos in 1 year or whatever, but it was as much as I could do. But I did it for 2 years without really making any money. And like year 3-ish is when it started making some. And even to this day, like this podcast, I spent so much money on it. Like some of the equipment that you see on screen, some of the equipment you don't see on screen, some of the services where this episode is being recorded. Like I spent so much money. I don't have a single sponsor. I don't know how anything about monetizing it, but I wanted to do it. So I'm doing it, And
so you're doing
right. And you can make the claim, well, Jesus sits in a privileged position where you can, has some disposable income. Well, yeah, but that wasn't always the case, especially with the YouTube channel. And I did it anyway. I always tell people I was very fortunate that after 2 or 3 years, my YouTube channel started growing. And so did my mailing list. So I started paying, hundreds of dollars to MailChimp pretty, relatively quickly, 2-3 years into it. And I know people who wouldn't want to pay like the $20, monthly fee for that. And it's not that, like I grew up with no money. So like I know what it feels like to not have any money and be worried about money. But at the same time, making money was never the goal. So I don't mind spending money to do what I want. I just happen to be in a position where thankfully things have gone the right way and I can afford that luxury. I don't have many luxuries, but that is a luxury that I afford myself.
Yeah, definitely. And it's worth it if it's your passion that brings you joy and gives you purpose, and it's like something you're excited to wake up and do with your day. It's very much worth it, I think.
For sure. I wanted to move into a new topic, which is, I don't know if you're still doing it as heavily as you were last time I saw you in person, but you were doing a lot of Blender.
Yeah.
And you even showed me some really cool animations, including one of a restaurant that you eventually ended up building in real life, but the concept started in Blender. So the question that I have for you is, learning a complex application like Blender, has that in any way helped your teaching? Have you seen any training from Blender instructors that you were like, oh my God, that's such a great idea, I'm going to implement that on Phlearn?
Yeah, definitely. I think like every bit of knowledge you absorb winds up like influencing future decisions and behavior. And not so much like, oh, I should say this at the intro or outro or whatever. It's more like, okay, what is like their essence? Like, why do I enjoy learning from them? And most of the time for me, it's personality based. Like I click with their personality and I enjoy watching them. I have fun.
Are there any Blender instructors that you really enjoy?
Probably the most like popular guy is Blender Guru.
Andrew Price.
Yeah,
he's very good.
Yeah, he's really good. And he's just like fun and chill and seems like a normal guy. I feel like I could go get lunch with him and we would have a good time,
It's funny that you say that, man, because I've seen his videos and a lot of the times I'm like, oh man, I wish I had his personality. He just seems like such a cool guy.
Yeah, I think we all have our own good personalities. I think for me, it's like, how much of it do I let shine in videos, how much do I bring that? And it's just like, okay, like good actors, right? Like for me, a good actor is someone who like can express their full emotional range that they experience in their regular life. And a lot of that has to do with being comfortable with your emotional range and being comfortable expressing it around other people. Like if you feel like maybe you're a little bit reserved and like you don't want to express your inner thoughts or feelings and things like that in your own personal life, then you're probably not going to do that in videos. And then they're just not going to be as interesting to watch. It's hard to connect with a person who's just like reading a script, but if you can feel like, oh, I'm actually like, I'm engaging with someone who's like digging deep and bringing the real self to this conversation, then it's like, oh, cool. We get to like actually bond about something, or you might find insight into your own self with them, like talking about their thoughts or feelings or emotions or even just like humor or whatnot. But I think like, being comfortable with yourself is huge. And that allows you to like express yourself in a more full manner to friends, family, and to a greater extent, maybe the internet too. I feel like a lot of the time, like, when people are first getting on camera, like they're, early days of making YouTube videos or whatever, it's like, it's pretty uncomfortable. I don't know many people who aren't uncomfortable at first. And a lot of my early videos, I'm like putting on a big show, like my voice is different and I'm like, hi, welcome to Phlearn. It's like this whole big production.
Yeah.
And that can be fun, but that's not me. That's not actually my personality. That's like a version that I make for the camera. And I still do that to a degree. I think it's very hard to not do that. But I do find that I connect with people when it doesn't seem like they're putting on a show for the camera. Like if I feel like this is who they really are in person, like if I met them on the street tomorrow, they'd be acting the exact same way. Then I'm like, okay, cool. I can connect with you. I might not vibe with you. Like we might not have the same like energy, but I can at least like feel a genuine type
They're
of
authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
I do kind of put on, I don't want to say put on a show, but I try to enunciate better. I mean, from this podcast, people are going to be like, oh my God, did Jesus have a stroke? Yes, I did. But I've spoke like that prior to that. And I talk fast. I mumble words. I'll cut words in half. I don't finish my sentences. Terrible. So when I'm recording videos, I have to remember that people are following along. I'm trying to be concise. I'm trying to be precise. So I try to enunciate better. A trick I learned from Deke McKellen, who is a fantastic Photoshop instructor, is smile when you talk and then like kind of talk with your teeth. So like you smile a lot and then it helps you enunciate better. So I try to enunciate things. Unlike you, I don't have a camera on me all the time. So I don't look silly when I'm doing that. I don't know how you're going to do it because I know you keep the camera on you all throughout the tutorial. So I don't do that so I can get away with it. But you definitely develop a voice, a persona that may not necessarily be so different from who you are. Yeah. But it needs to be there in order so that the product is good. And it's funny because sometimes after, maybe this recording or whatever, I'll walk out and immediately I'll talk to my girlfriend and she'll say things like, you still have your presenter voice on. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I get the same thing. And I think it's impossible. Well, not impossible. It's very difficult to, when you put a camera on someone, like there's more pressure. Like a conversation with someone that's not recorded is like, well, they can't go back and watch this 10 years from now and be like, like when you get a camera on you, like a lot of people start thinking about every word and like, did I say that well enough? They second guessing, or like, if they stutter,
you don't want to get canceled.
I mean, that's a problem with your own point of view on the world. I don't really worry so much about being canceled because I like work on my own mind so I don't think the type of shit that would lead to that sort of thing. I mean, hopefully I cross my fingers on that and I try to surround myself with like...
After this podcast, you'll get canceled.
Let's hope not.
So we're running out of time and I like to end the show by asking a series of lightning round questions.
Let's do it.
These answers can be as simple as a yes, no, probably not. You're going to have to say more than one word, but they can be as simple as you want, as long as you want. You can say skip. We can go into a story about it. Totally up to you. We'll see what happens.
Cool. Let's do it.
All right, man. Tell us a shocking fact about yourself.
A shocking fact. Well, I moved to Mexico almost 2 years ago. So I...
¿Qué?
Yeah, okay. I had a studio and, full house and a life and everything like that in Chicago that I had built for 10 years. And I sold everything. So basically drove down 2 cars from Chicago to Mexico and started...
That's insane.
Yeah. So the only things that I own in the world were the things that I could fit in 2 vehicles.
That's very shocking indeed.
In terms of physical possessions, I pretty much started over completely at about 2 years ago. So
Wow.
I went down in terms of like square footage that I was occupying between my business and my home. I went down to about 10%. So
That's insane.
I reduced my input by about 90%. Going through the process of like selling/giving away basically almost all my possessions was such an emotional journey. I learned so much from that. I didn't realize how emotionally attached I was to my stuff, and getting rid of it all meant that I had to like deal with those emotions and move on. And the result is that now I feel very much less attached to physical belongings in general. Like if I had to pick up and move and leave everything I own behind, I'd be okay with it because I just did it.
I don't know how you feel, but you seem like a much calmer person, more relaxed.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I live in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, so it's tropical palm trees and an ocean breeze every day in my life. So that may or may not
hanging out at the beach with margaritas, I'm sure.
Yeah, that may have something to do with it.
And actually, a shocking fact about you that I'm sure a lot of people don't know, your Spanish is excellent. We've had plenty of conversations in Spanish, and it's so weird just to like talk to you in Spanish.
Yeah, it's coming along. It's a really cool opportunity. I think that's, in terms of like my mental development, that's been like a real gift to like, dive in to learning Spanish. And I think learning anything to a good degree is good for your brain. But Spanish in particular is so wonderful because so many people speak Spanish. Like,
yeah,
I mean, you speak Spanish, and if you went to just about any country in Central and South America, you just drop in and be able to communicate with millions and millions of people. And that's been a real gift. And I've really, really enjoyed it. So I've still got a lot to go. Learning language is kind of like a lifetime thing, but I am enjoying it.
Nice. The next question is, when was the last time you felt proud of yourself?
When was the last time I felt proud of myself? I guess today I woke up and went on a nice walk with one of my dogs. Yeah. And yesterday I went through a walk in nature, which for me, I always come back to nature. I'm really big. It's always very centering for me. So if I get too caught up in like the online world and the digital world, or just like even like staying indoors, as soon as I spend good amount of time in nature, I feel much better about myself. And then I feel proud of myself for having gone and done it. It's like, okay, cool. Like I had the thought that maybe I should go out for a walk today and spend time in nature. And then I actually do it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm proud of myself. I'm taking care of myself. And now I can come back and focus on my like things that I got to get done. Good question.
For sure. You're someone who is quote unquote known by a lot of people. A lot of people feel like they know you. Is there something that people often get wrong about you? Any misconceptions about Aaron when they finally get to meet you?
I'm like pretty quiet as a person. Like
I would have guessed that about you.
Yeah. I would say some people, because when they watch me in the videos, I'm talking all the entire time. But I would say like in my interactions with people, I'm more of like a listener. I'm the type of person at a party who you might not remember is there.
Same. I've told people that when I was in school, I could go an entire day without saying a word. It often happened. I just wouldn't say a word. I don't need to talk. I like to listen, much like you, but definitely don't like to talk. But unfortunately, in a podcast, we both have to talk. So here we are.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be much fun if we both stayed quiet for 2 hours.
Yeah.
The next one is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received, whether it's personal or in business?
I think in terms of business, my dad just told me I should probably work for other people. He was like, I don't think you would make it really, like, you're not really suited for having a job. You should go into business for yourself. And
right.
I think he was right about that.
That's very good advice in your case. What's the most difficult part about doing what you do as a creator?
I think like we were talking about earlier, like consistently finding ways to keep enjoying doing it year after year. And as we change as people, our interests change as well, and everyone, like kind of lives their own lives in their own spectrum and just on their own journey. Me personally, I constantly change my interests. So, the most difficult part is as I change as a person, how do I still stay engaged with something that I fell in love with, over a decade ago? It's always possible. It sometimes just requires like going into your mind and kind of rewiring some things, but I would say that that's one of the big challenges that I face.
Have you had an I made it moment?
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I don't think so. I don't even feel that now. I don't necessarily feel like I've quote unquote made it. I don't know that I'll ever feel that, to be honest. Really good. Have you?
Yes and no. My I made it moments are not like, oh, my name is in some conference, or I got invited to speak at like in Sydney, Australia, or like, those things are super cool, but I don't consider those like I made it moments. My I made it moments are like, I've gotten text messages from people that I used to look up to when I was younger and learning Photoshop and all this sort of stuff. So one of my Photoshop heroes growing up was Bert Monroy, who co-wrote the very first book of Photoshop like in the 90s. He's Photoshop user like number 6. Like he creates incredible artwork in Photoshop. He's still around today and still creating artwork. And he and I became friends. And I remember one of my I made it moments was I got a text message from Bert saying, "Hey, are you around? I have a Photoshop question." And to me, it was like, oh my God, Bert has a Photoshop question. He needs my help. So like that to me was like I made it moment. All that other stuff it's nice to see your name on places or websites and, nice messages that people send. But as nice as that is, it doesn't feel as good as like being in a position where your peers look up to you. And I think that to me is, what feels like an I made it moment.
That's super cool. I love it.
And the last question I have for you today, Aaron, is what would you like to be remembered for? What mark do you want to leave in the world, if any?
That's a good question. What would I like to be remembered for? Probably just like treating other people well and myself. Yeah, I think that more than anything else. And yeah, it's not really career oriented. It's more just like, were people better in any way after having interacted with me, or did I mess them up?
I'm in therapy because of Aaron.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that's about it.
And actually, Light, I have one more question for you. Where can people find you?
Oh, good question. Easiest place is on YouTube. My channel is called Phlearn. It's like Phlearn, Phlearn.
I remember when I first saw that name, I was like, oh my God, that guy took I was so jealous. I was like, and I came up with a name that has 3 words, but it's a different conversation. Such a good name. And what I remember seeing Phlearn like all the time. You used to wear a black t-shirt and it had Phlearn on the chest. And I think you did a creative live or something. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so jealous of that guy. He's got such a good name.
Yeah, it's funny. Over the years, when I first was mulling around ideas, a close person at the time was like, that is the worst name in the world. No one's going to remember that. It's so silly. It doesn't make any sense. That it's been a double-edged sword, because on one hand, it is like a kind of a unique made-up word. So sometimes it can actually be kind of difficult. Like I'll talk with companies all the time and like, we love Phlearn, and like, it's like, yeah, it's one of those things. But I think once it gets stuck in your brain, it's hard to get it out. So.
Yeah, I get we love photo learning channel. We love Photoshop tutorial channel. I get everything. So I totally get it. Oh man. Today's creator is Aaron Nace. Aaron, thank you so much for being here with me today.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.